Thank you, Madam Speaker. Speaker, as the proud son of immigrants to this great country, seeing firsthand the immense contributions diaspora communities make to our society, is an honour for me to stand today in this chamber and to speak to Bill 131, an act to declare July as Tibetan Heritage Month. Speaker, I'm proud to stand across party lines in support of the member from Parkdale High Park, and I applaud her not only for her achievement of being the first person of Tibetan origin to be elected to this chamber, but for putting forth a private member's legislation that is thoughtful, that is timely, and worthy of our legislature's support. I wholeheartedly support this bill and will be voting in favour of it, as I mentioned to the member earlier. Speaker, the community of Parkdale and the members' riding is home to a large and growing Tibetan community. And I visited the vibrant, colourful shops and restaurants of Little Tibet on many occasions, Speaker, and its people often remind me of my own story, albeit very different experiences in regions of the world, of my parents who came to this country seeking opportunity. Much like my parents and immigrants, Tibetan Canadians work hard, make countless sacrifices to give their sons and daughters a better life. And I believe, Speaker, that the new Canadians share a unique understanding with each other, regardless of their religious or ethnic origin, because they faced similar circumstances when they arrived to Canada. Over the years, Speaker, new Canadians have helped to build a diverse and vibrant mosaic that is this country. Tibetan Canadians are proud members of that mosaic. While it's still relatively small in number, the Tibetan Canadian community contributions have been large and noticeable as it has grown, prospered, and contributed to our country. The community deserves our official recognition. Speaker, the month of July has a special significance for Tibetans elsewhere. As was noted, July 6th is the birthday of His Holiness, the 14th Dalai Lama, who is an honorary Canadian citizen. That day symbolizes the unity of the Tibetan Canadian community and the resilience as a people. Speaker, I believe everyone in this chamber will agree that His Holiness is a remarkable individual, and he has shared many profound thoughts about kindness, compassion, unity, peace, and forgiveness throughout his life. The Tibetan people are fortunate to have him as a leader. We are all fortunate to have him as a leader, as free people, just as we're all fortunate to have him and guide him as matters of spirituality. Speaker, every one of us entered public life to make the world a better place in one way or another. And if we are serious about that goal, I cannot think of a better way to start than by reading and embracing the Dalai Lama's book, Compassion in the Individual. And I find his quote, his message, most inspiring, most relevant at a time of challenge and adversity we face today as Canada and the world responds to COVID-19. And that quote is, there is a saying in Tibetan, quote, tragedy should be utilized as a source of strength. No matter what sort of difficulties, how painful experience is, if we lose our hope, that's our real disaster. Speaker, the Dalai Lama also said in this country just some years ago, quote, his ancient nation with ancient culture is in danger of dying. I want to echo the message delivered by the member about the importance of standing up for our values as a country, to stand up to those nations abroad that seek to undermine freedom, democracy, human rights, and the rule of law, to nations whose mission is to create geopolitical strife and to suppress the values and the freedoms of those individuals and their human dignity. Of course, Speaker, it takes moral courage to stand up for the abuses in Burma, to stand up to the human rights of Muslim Uyghurs in China, and of course of the Tibetan people who have systematically faced oppression. It does require moral courage to say it in our country, and we should do so. Speaker, as you will be aware, Tibetan Heritage Month serves as a purpose to reaffirm their belonging, their relevance, their dignity, and a reminder that it is important not just to honour Tibetan Canadians in this nation, but to honour the courage, the enduring courage, the global courage of the Tibetan people for generations. And it also reminds us that components of Ontario's civil society are diverse, they are international, but everyone deserves to be treated with that sense of fairness and decency to pursue their dreams in a society that elevates justice over tyranny. As you're aware, Speaker, I worked in my past life for former Prime Minister Harper. The Dalai Lama met Prime Minister Harper back in 2007 and asked for his help in bringing Tibetan refugees from Arunachal Pradesh, India, to Canada. Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister could have provided a few polite platitudes and then disregarded the conversation. That's just not what happened that day. The Prime Minister listened to the Dalai Lama, his direct appeal, and he took decisive action. Speaker, the wheels of government sometimes move much slower than perhaps you and I would like. But the Prime Minister today knew what needed to be done, and he made it happen. And I still remember the day in December of 2010, Madam Speaker, when Canada's then Citizenship and Immigration Minister, now Premier Jason Kenney, announced that Canada would welcome up to 1,000 Tibetan refugees over a period of 5 years. And Speaker, I remember the day that 3 years later when the first Tibetans arrived, those refugees, 21 in total at the Vancouver International Airport. The refugees were understandably nervous and certainly tired after a 30-hour flight. But they also were elated to live and to step onto a free nation where they are not singled out for their differences, they are celebrated for them. And to become a part of a true mosaic that is this country. And they were able to start their lives and enrich an already existing Tibetan community in all across our country, in Ottawa and Toronto, and of course in Vancouver. Those refugees is a reminder of what this country can provide, opportunity to the oppressed. I reflect on Irwin Cotler, former Liberal Member of Parliament, a human rights lawyer and global advocate, who suggested the all-party support, that he was so pleased to see all-party support for one of the greatest heroes, quote, of our time. Speaker, we have an opportunity to promote religious freedom, the concept that individuals should not be oppressed by a state simply because of their option to worship God and to be part of institutional faith. And there are many nations on the globe, human rights abusers that systematically discriminate, persecute, and in some cases as heinous as murder people simply because they choose to practice faith. Religious freedom is a cornerstone of democratic societies. And we have to speak very loudly with this voice, with our voice, one voice in its defense. And so, Speaker, by proclaiming the month of July as Tibetan Heritage Month, the province of Ontario officially recognizes those contributions, but also recognizes the values that Tibetan Canadians have brought to this country and emanate in every way, here at home and right around the world. And it is for them, it is for future generations that we express solidarity for this bill, for its principle, for the member from Parkdale High Park, and for all Tibetan Canadians who are leading, who are pioneering, and who are making a difference in this country. Thank you, Speaker.